At Loyola, many of us are inspired by Ignatian pedagogy, and we strive to have classrooms that are collaborative in nature, in which students engage actively in discussion. Because of this, I think it can be very frustrating when our efforts to generate discussion fall flat. We all have had an experience probably at some time in our teaching when we had a class that was quieter than we would have liked, or less dynamic and exciting than we would have liked. I think that this is probably the biggest challenge, or the most common challenge, that Loyola faculty face when trying to implement the high-impact practice of active learning. I use a whole range of strategies in the classroom to generate discussion, but I'd like to focus on just one practice, what I call the 5-minute essay, because I think it's a particularly effective way to achieve universal participation. As instructors, I think we really need to think about the conditions under which a good discussion takes place. And we need to consider what we can do as instructors to prepare our students to make contributions. I think it can be a mistake to try to initiate discussion with a "what is in the text" or "what did the text say" question. Ultimately, we want to go beyond asking the students to rehearse claims made by the texts that we assign. We want them to pose questions, make connections. We want them to grasp concepts. So I like to use 5-minute essays that actually go directly to that stage of questioning, connecting, and grasping. In my Foundations of Philosophy course, one of the topics that we cover is Stoic philosophy. And I like to pair the Stoic philosophers with a contemporary philosophical discussion of the experiences of veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan in order to really put pressure on some of the Stoic claims, particularly regarding the relationship between the mind and body. So I've developed a 5-minute essay that I use to start a discussion about this interaction between the ancient text and the contemporary problem. I asked the students the question, "Is your body you?" That's a type of question that a student needs 5 minutes to process and think about. It's a real question. It gives the student something to direct their mind at that they may never have thought about before. And in my experience, it's the type of question that leads to a really energetic, dynamic conversation. The prompt of a 5-minute essay asks students to direct their minds to the questions addressed by the text, and it gives students enough time to gather their thoughts and find the words to express them. When we pose questions verbally, we may meet silence because students really do need time to reflect and time to process the question. When we ask "what is in the text" or what did the author say" questions, we may meet silence because students don't feel the question is worth responding to, in the sense that it's not actually asking the student to generate their own thought or to develop their own thoughts. When all students have responded reflectively to an intriguing question, you get a much more dynamic conversation that can then feed into the next part of the lesson plan. When all students have prepared for discussion by responding reflectively to an intriguing question, you get a much more dynamic conversation that can feed into the next part of the lesson plan.